Good evening, everybody. Hello.
Yeah.
How you doing? Welcome to the Frida Cinema. My name is Logan Crow. I am the founder and executive director of the Frida. I'm so excited about tonight. Show of hands. Who's here for the first time? Okay, enough of you that I'll give you the spiel. This is the Frida Cinema. We are Orange County's only non-profit art house cinema. We are proud of that. Thank you. Curating nights like these is what we're all about. We're celebrating our 10th anniversary next year, which is surreal and incredible, but we're really excited about that. Thank you. We are member and donation supported, and our job is to bring you as many of the films that you communicate back to us that you would like to see as possible. So we say this all the time on our website. Contact us. Do you have movie suggestions? What are the drop downs? Send us your suggestions, send us your ideas. We pool them, we have a list of them, we go and reference it every once in a while, because the more we can play the films you want to see, the more we can serve you as a community art house cinema. It's just that simple. So, any Aliens fans in the audience today? I know we have at least two very, very huge Aliens fans in the audience, who I'm going to introduce in just a moment. Let's rock, absolutely. Who has never seen Aliens? It's okay, it's all right, no judgments here. This is a safe space. Raise your hands tall. Okay, I gotta tell you people. What? Okay, anyway, sorry. Okay, we'll talk. I have to say that I love seeing those hands because, you know, I grew up on movies. Since I think my earliest movie I've ever seen is Arthur when I was 5. And there is something to be said about remembering the first time you saw a movie, when it's in a movie theater, when it's with a crowd, when they're laughing with you and screaming with you and heckling with you, whatever it is, and you're surrounded by the sound, you've got a giant screen in front of you showing the movie, and it's always a pleasure to share movies like this with two different audiences. One, people who've never seen them before, to know that you're going to see Aliens in a movie theater for the first time brings me and all of our staff tremendous pride and joy. People who love movies, like, show of hands if you've seen Aliens a million times but never on the big screen. You are the second audience. You know, you think you know and have seen a movie, and then you watch it on the big screen, and you catch new things, and you catch new reactions from the audience, and make you consider how you interpreted something the last time you saw it. I mean, it's a whole different experience. So, to both of those crowds, and to those of you who love Aliens at all, I am so glad you're here for this night. So, you see Gucci Fest up there at the top of the, yes. To tell you a little bit about what that is, I am really excited to introduce just an amazing guy, amazing writer, amazing columnist, community-driven supporter of the community, and also our very first, and we've been talking about it forever, our very first guest curator that we've ever had. When I found out Gustavo, on top of being an incredible journalist, incredible columnist, Ask a Mexican, historic column, went to film school, I wanted to spark that. I wanted to talk more about that. Like, I didn't know you went to film school. And so I was really inspired to see what movies he would curate. We told him to pick a movie that was his favorite, a movie that he loved from childhood, a movie that he thinks is criminally underseen, and your favorite cult movie, or midnight movie, if memory serves. Is that right?
Yes.
Good. So to tell you about those four and more about Gucci Fest, I am excited to introduce Gustavo Arellano, and then he will be introducing someone very special right after that. We'll get into the movie. Then after the movie, stick around. Jenette Goldstein, who's having dinner right down the street, will be here. We're so excited to bring her up. For those of you who've never seen it, you'll have a character that you'll go crazy about, and then you're going to meet her tonight. So we're so stoked about that. Never underestimate the power of sending someone an Instagram message. So ladies and gentlemen, Gustavo Arellano.
Thank you all. I'll make it very brief. So yes, you see up there Gucci Fest. Logan was kind enough to ask me to curate a film series with the parameters that he gave me. So favorite childhood movie, favorite film of all time, favorite underrated film that's criminally underrated, and then favorite cult movie. And so we're having it this week. This is my favorite cult movie of all time, but we're gonna get to that in a little bit, because can it really be a cult movie when it was a blockbuster? Directed by James Cameron, with Sigourney Weaver and Paul Reiser in the most weenie cameo of all time. We'll just leave it at that for a little bit. But I want to give a plug for the rest of the films that we're going to be screening this week. So Wednesday, and I'm the dates out. Sorry. Every film that we're going to screen is going to screen 2 nights, but I'm going to be giving intros on the following night. So on Wednesday, we're going to screen the film The Apartment by Billy Wilder. How many of you have seen it? Raise your hands. Very few of you. You see, that gets to my point. Billy Wilder, such an incredible director. I think it's a criminally underrated movie. I think he's a criminally underrated director, starring Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine, so come in on Wednesday for that. Friday, my favorite childhood movie of all time, Karate Kid. How many of you have seen Karate Kid? That one, of course, is a legend. Cobra Kai, by the way, on Netflix. Oh my God, it's incredible. So come for that one on Friday. Then afterwards, we're going to have an after party at my wife's restaurant, Alta Baja Market, just down the street. So that's going to be fun. And then Saturday is going to be the fun one, though, because that's going to be my favorite film of all time, Apocalypse Now. How many of you have seen Apocalypse Now? So that's the one where I'm going to do my best Robert De Niro and Cape Fear impression. And I'm going to be right here in the front and just be with a big cigar and throw things at the screen. No, I'm not. But at the very least, thank you for supporting the Frida. Thank you for supporting independent films, classic films. And the final thing I'll say in terms of, you know, because I just love what Logan told me, but then I said, can I also screen some of my favorite cartoons of all time? Like, do it like a matinee. I'm not going to tell you all the cartoons that we're going to screen. You're going to have to show up for that, for every film. But today, we're going to screen the color version of Porky in Wacky Land. How many of you have seen that one? Okay, very few of you, which is okay. Porky in Wacky Land, classic Warner Brothers cartoon. It's actually a remake of the black and white version, but it's basically Porky, who I think is a very underrated character, goes into Wacky Land and encounters a character called the Dodo. How many of you remember Tiny Toon Adventures from the 90s? Okay, so there was a character based on the Dodo. Because I thought to myself, well, if we're gonna do aliens, we should have an alien cartoon. And I wasn't gonna do Marvin the Martian. I think he's amazing, but I knew not enough of you had seen Porky in Wacky Land, so I'm very excited for that. I can say a lot of things about aliens. I love this film, don't get me wrong, but it's my wife's favorite movie of all time. So I am going to introduce my wife right now, Delilah Snell, the proprietor of Alta Baja Market. Where are you? Come on down. She's going to give the intro to aliens. She's also going to be interviewing Jeannette. Yeah, you are. 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 Okay, honey, go for it.
Okay, stay here with me. Okay, I've had kind of a rough afternoon. So like many of you here, Aliens is a favorite. It's actually my favorite film. And I remember seeing this at the Cinedome. I don't even know if it's still around. I saw that with my stepfather, who would always, like, at the worst times, you know, do stuff like that. And then my mother, who would, you know, right when it's supposed to be really scary, would do this. You know that. And I just remember the theater being so mesmerized and energized, and you know, we were all having a moment. This was an incredible film to see in the theater. And this was almost 40 years ago. And over the years, I just kept coming back to it. I just loved it even more and more. And it's just, why do I love it so much? And you know, there's so many reasons why we're all here tonight, but one of them is no CGI. You know, this was puppeteering, this was miniatures, painted backgrounds, and creating real sets that really created an environment. You could feel that, and you saw that with the actors. The pacing of this film, you know, from the humor, because there's humor in this, to the music, the score, and just, you know, the acting from this cast, and this cast, you know, these characters, they're iconic, all of them. And that's really hard to do, and you see things from these absolutely memorable lines that we've all been quoting each other over the past week.
Please yell them as they go along.
But even when I've been rewatching this film and I've been looking at little parts, just kind of, you know, loving this film, but just even the glances that these actors give each other, they're just timed so perfectly, along with the editing and the direction. It's just absolutely amazing. But you know, when I think about this film, why I've loved it over the years is, you know, as a 10-year-old, which is when I first saw it, as a young woman, and then as an adult, what I kept thinking about was the role of the female in this movie. And you know, I just never saw anything like that before, and it was so breathtaking and powerful for me. And to see women, or females, and that's including Newt, you know, seeing, these are not people with superpowers or capes. These are real people, and to see that females are strong and they're leaders and they're fearless in the face of fear. They're protectors and survivors, and they're fucking chingonas. You know, they dominate everything that they're in, and that was a really important thing to see. And I think it just really inspired me, you know, over the years. And it's always made me think of women and how they are all of these things every day. They're strong, they're leaders, they're fearless in the face of fear, they're warriors and protectors, they're survivors, and they're fucking chingonas. And I just really love this film, and it's such a pleasure to be up here. I feel like I'm having like my birthday and Christmas like times 100 right now. But with that, let's
Thank you all, please. Think of it as Rocky Horror Picture Show, although none of you are dressed like xenomorphs. Maybe we'll do it next time. But yell out loud, do all that stuff. We're here, we're having fun. Thank you again. Enjoy Guti Fest. Private Vasquez. Other notable roles include the Vampire Diamondback, we got the fan, Catherine Bigelow's Near Dark, Janelle Voight in Terminator 2. I have a question about that. The USS Enterprise Science Officer in Star Trek Generations, Alice the Maid in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and this one actually Delilah told me, the Irish Mother in Titanic. Incredible. She has exploded many times and often goes down with the ship. Jeannette's current top 5 films that she is not in: Carrie, Gloria, Mandy, Inglourious Bastards, and Office Space. Goldstein is also the proprietor of Jeannette's Bras, bra fitting boutiques in Los Angeles and Atlanta. She's over here. No, get over here, get over here. Thank you so much for being here. But I'm a huge fan of yours. She is a much bigger fan.
I jumped the gun. I ran into one of my old students in the lobby.
Oh my God.
We just had an amazing time in the lobby. I missed the last
I missed
the last of the movie. But just to have a moment with you was really cool. And I'm freaking out. Okay, you know, just assassinate me right now. I'm having the best day of my life.
I'm only going to ask a couple questions.
Ask more.
No, because I'm sure the audience will have some questions.
We talked about all the questions we want to ask.
We talked about this before. First and foremost, what memories do you have of the filming of Aliens?
Oh my God. Well, I always say that I was terrified. I mean, I'd been on a stage, I'd been, you know, acting in theater, but I'd never been in front of a camera, and there were no camera classes at you know, drama school, and I knew, you know, they have and action. I mean, that's like all I knew. But I was with these amazing actors, and they were so great. All the guys, Bill Paxton and Mark Ralston, and they just were, you know, well, don't worry though. We'll learn while you earn.
I gotta say, I was shocked that this was your first role, because you said you were shy and nervous. It does not translate into the screen. How did you find out about the part of Vasquez, and how did you get it?
Oh, well, that was a really weird story, because I was living in London. So I'm from LA. And then I always wanted to go to New York and be an actress, and I went to drama school in New York, and then I met an Englishman, and I was like, sure, I'll move over to London, and I went to drama school in London, and so I stayed there because I really wanted to, you know, act in Shakespearean plays and things like that.
I love this already.
Yeah, so, I mean, that was my idea, is I was going to be a repertory actress and do lots of the classics, and, you know, Noel Coward and all, you know, I was a character actress, but I moved over to London, which was really cool, and I started working there, doing like little stage things, the Fringe, And there was an ad. I had a British equity card, and there was an ad, and they needed Americans or North Americans who had British equity cards for a movie called Aliens. And I just sent my picture in. I didn't have an agent yet. I was just starting to look for one. Yeah.
And this film is filmed in England.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, that's why.
The
Yeah.
entirety.
It was filmed at Pinewood Studios in London. And so they cast, because when they film over there, I guess I don't know if it's like it now, but you have to use, look for so many Americans, so, you know, it's some kind of a producer thing where they cast like the smaller parts.
How did you, when you saw this character Vasquez, was her name Vasquez from the start?
Oh, yeah.
What attracted you to the character, and how did you make it yours?
Oh my God, it's a whole acting lesson. Well, no, I read the screenplay, and I'd never read a screenplay before. That's funny. I'd never, and it was really interesting, and it was great, and it had a little blurb about her, you know, that she had been conscripted from, she was a, you know, ex-gang member, been conscripted from serving life in juvenile prison with Drake. They both had been conscripted, and that was, which was a real big key to our characters, because it was, you know, the choice was, you know, do you want to spend the rest of your life behind bars? Obviously, she had been involved in a murder, and so had he. So they were serving life. Or you serve life in the Marines, and so they chose to do that. So that was the key, at least to.
A prequel. We'll get to that in a bit.
What?
No, someone said a prequel, but we're going to get to that.
Oh, the prequel, yeah.
Out right now.
Exactly, yeah. So, but I mean, that was the key to, aside from where she came from, you know, she came from East LA, and she was a gang member, and the fact that she was never getting out was sort of the key to her bravery. She had nothing to lose, and that was the opposite. Her foil was Hudson, because he had everything to lose, because he was 2 weeks from getting out. So that was the key to her.
Did you ever say something?
No, I just bought the fan fiction. My friend Cynthia, one of my dear friends Cynthia, got me a fan fiction about.
Oh yeah, there's a book, isn't there? It just came out?
About Vasquez, and
Yeah.
I have it, and I'm breaking it out like right
No,
after.
I haven't read it. Yeah, I heard that somebody did a fan fiction.
How much of your backstory synced with Vasquez's story?
None.
So that's the question I'm going to get to.
Well, I mean, you know.
You're not Latina, you're not from East LA, yet your character has become so iconic. There's been fan fiction, people want prequels. I didn't know about this background, which just makes it even that much better. Why do you think Vasquez has become so iconic for so many different people?
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. It was written, it's an amazing character on the page. I mean, and you hadn't seen it then. I mean, and I guess, no, you hadn't seen anybody. I mean, I was saying that I don't know if you know the film Gloria, Jenna Rollins, and amazing movie. And I mean, I love that movie. And that was, you know, a strong woman in this situation. But they were like superheroes, I guess, Sheena, Queen of the whatever. But that's
Barbarella.
Or something like that. That's not. But no, you know, with any character that you perform. I mean, I've never been a queen, you know, but you do that. You imagine what they want and where they come from, and what their needs are, and what the situation is, and the circumstances, and then you study what the accent is, and you think about their backstory, you know, what made them who they were. I mean, that's, you know, acting, it's kind of acting 101, but I mean, if you have this great character, then you have wonderful actors around you, and it's, but why she keeps, you know, continuing on, I just always ask, you know, people when they come up to me, because it's interesting the wide swath of people who really identify with her. I mean, there's women, there's little boys, there's little girls, there's soldiers, there's gay men, there's, you know, it's all different, of course, Latinos, but I mean, it's like, and I always ask, you know, what is your specific connection to her? And, you know, people tell me different things, but I think
it's incredible. Logan and Frida put a meme of like, a rainbow t-shirt at Target won't make you gay, but Vasquez will.
Somebody tweeted that. I saw that. Somebody sent that to me, and I thought that was very funny.
Honey, you have a question?
She was pretty hot. Yeah.
I'm just really curious. I know that there was some ad-libbing with the characters on set. I know Apone, Sergeant Apone.
Oh, yeah.
He just kind of trained everybody to, he was in the
Yeah, he was, Al Matthews had been in the Marines, and so
He was a decorated veteran, right?
Yeah,
He was like a Purple Heart.
Yeah, he was amazing, and he was incredible, because on the table read, he said to me, he said, you have that 200-yard stare. I remember him saying that to me. But he's ad-libbed, and Cameron said, go for it. You ad-lib, you do all the sort of patter that the, drill sergeants do, so.
So I feel this closeness that, was developed between in the team, or the ensemble of actors. Did you ad-lib anything in the film? Is there anything that you just kind of
Oh yeah.
were inspired to say?
Well, it's funny. I mean, I was trained obviously in the theater. You do not ad-lib, But I
Take
mean,
to the page.
no, exactly. It's in the page. But actually, Bill Paxton was telling me. He was like, "Oh no, dude. It's like a blueprint. It's just a blueprint." And he would always be throwing stuff in, and then Jim would go, "Shut up." They would have this thing back. He was like, "All right." He'd throw something else at him, and he was like unstoppable. But James Cameron scared the crap out of me, and so I didn't want to say anything that I completely swatted down. But it was the adding in pendejo.
Yeah.
It was just that was I figured I would get that by the censors. They didn't.
Well, thank you for a dignified pendejo in there.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. I figured.
All right, let's get to your questions. We're gonna get the mic. Where is my Marine friend here? Yep, we're gonna go right here. I'll just point him out. Gentleman right there.
Hi, Jeannette.
Hi.
I just want to say I saw Aliens in 1986 when I was 15 years old. About 3 years later, I joined the United States Marine Corps right out of high school. During this time, and I served in the Gulf War, and during this time was when they started opening up the combat arms to women. And there was a lot of resistance there, especially the older guys. But the younger guys, we could all get our heads around it because we had all seen Vasquez and anytime like someone else goes, "Oh no, women couldn't do it," we just like, "Did you see Aliens? Wasn't Vasquez, wasn't she awesome?" And they were like, "Oh, what?" They had no excuse. And I just want to let you know that you play no small part in just getting people to accept that. And right now, every time I see like young women Marines out there, or women soldiers out there who are in Iraq, Afghanistan, all over the world, a lot of them have a bit of Vasquez in them.
Oh.
And that cinema makes.
I didn't know. Were women not in the army in '85?
Oh, well, they were
Pilots, right?
Well, yeah, but it's like if they were pilot, they could only fly like cargo planes and stuff. But they couldn't. They weren't fighter pilots. They weren't in the infantry.
Wow.
And right around right after the Gulf War, they started opening those all up.
That's so funny. I completely didn't think about. I mean, I knew it made sense, and when he created it, why not? I mean,
Right. Well, when I was in the Marines, every Marine is a rifleman. But in the time when Aliens came out, women in the Marines weren't required to shoot. And it changed. The commandant said, "This is bullshit. Women should need to be Marines just like everyone else.
Right.
Learn how to shoot." And so when I came in, women were, at least they were starting to train with that. But then they finally later on opened up the combat arms, and now you do have women serving in the infantry now.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
Incredible. All right, next question, folks. Do not be shy. Right here in the front, we're going to get to. Just wait for the mic, please. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
I have a question. Did you like filming Aliens?
I did, very much. I mean, like I said, it was very scary to do something new, that I hadn't done, but I love learning new things. And I just hoped that it would come out well.
Was all of it on sound stages?
No, not at all. I mean, well, not the part in the atmosphere processing station. That was an actual disused some sort of
Factory or something.
Yeah, exactly, something like that. And they built those cocoons into it. But then the rest of that, yes, it was on a sound stage.
Wow.
A huge sound station where
It
they.
was CGI.
Yeah, no CGI. There was no such thing as CGI. Yeah.
Yeah, real sounds. More questions right here. Yeah, right there. Just wait for the mic. Thank you.
Hi, big fan. Thank you for this. But my question is just, I've been wondering, like, I didn't know you weren't Hispanic. And you're so authentic. And you're such a fucking badass.
She's going afterwards.
Yeah, she was. Did you have any female inspirations or even characters in other films or things that inspired your character and helped you, you know, create Vasquez?
Well, it's funny. I mean, like I said, I really enjoyed Gloria, the film Gloria, and you know, it's funny. When I was a little girl, I would pretend to be a little boy all the time. I mean, that's the thing is, I mean, it wasn't like, oh, I want to be a boy. It was just who were the kind of cool characters doing interesting stuff. But no, I mean the character, you know, like with any sort of character that I play, I mean, I only just got to play. I'm Jewish. I mean, it's a Russian. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I finally got to play a Jewish woman the other first time. The director wanted to cast Jews as Jews. You know, weird, huh? But anyway, which I don't, you know, whatever's. But you know, you don't play a group. You play a person with a background and with the way they talk, the way they walk, where they came from. They're every, you know, it's specific, and so that was, you know, part of the drill.
I mean, it's really remarkable because sadly, as we all know, the history of Latinos in Hollywood, the character specifically, has been filled with so many stereotypes. Women being, you know, spicy senoritas, or just like really, you know, sadly, just in bad roles. And here with Vasquez, you had never seen a Latina like that.
Right, I don't, yeah, it's funny, or like a maid or something like that. I mean, it was just this full-formed human being. I mean, you just didn't see tough women at all struggling, and it seemed ridiculous. At all. I mean, I mean, it's kind of crazy
It's sad.
because there's women everywhere with amazing stories and challenges, and you know.
Still not enough to this day. Okay, more questions. We got ones, a lot of them, man. Now you're all
Okay, nice.
raising hands.
Hi there.
Hi.
So, it's amazing to hear how you have this like history working with James Cameron, and in the other two films that you've worked with him before, like Terminator 2 and then Titanic. What's it like working with a set design where you can actually feel and breathe like the environment that you're in? Because CGI does not evoke that out of an actor.
Oh, well, the sets are amazing. I mean, Aliens was on the Bond stage, a huge, they build these worlds, so, like, and the same thing with, like, Titanic, you just walk into it, and I would say, it's like no acting necessary. You're just kind of like, in Titanic, you're like, I was going down the plank where you walk, and I was with the kids and trying not to fall, and you go around a corner and you don't know where you are, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, you see a cameraman, and that's kind of shocking because you think it's an actual, you know, ship. It makes it really easy. In Terminator, we were in some little ranch house in I forget, in Reseda. So
You were so terrifying as a stepmom. How's Wolfie doing?
just fine.
All right.
You don't bother a woman when she's on the phone. It's like, excuse me, I'm sorry. Always when you're on the phone, they want to talk to you.
Oh my God. Okay, let's go right here.
Hi, hello again. So, question. I know you've always been looked like such a badass and been super buff, but did you have any particular training regimen that you had throughout the movie to stay looking like such a badass?
Well, start 2 years before you know you're going to be in the movie. I mean, it was just kind of a weird, when I was a little girl, I was a tomboy, and then I was like a gymnast. I was a competitive gymnast when I was little, and so I was always, sporty. And then when I finished drama school, and in high school I used to lift weights in the gym with the guys. I just, my uncle was a boxing manager. Anyway, I always kind of did stuff like that. And there was this bodybuilders gym up the street from me where I lived in East London. And when I left drama school, I was like, why don't I go in there? And then Miss Britain trained there. So I got really into this whole kind of bodybuilding culture. And this was in the 80s, so there were no women. It was really an odd subculture, and I loved it. I would go to the shows, and then I was like, why don't I try to see if I can, be a bodybuilder or whatever. So like 2 years I worked on it, worked out, and trained, and then I entered the Miss Britain contest, and I tied for 5th out of a field of 6. But anyway, about like 2 weeks after that, so I was in the best shape of my life, and for this thing, and that's when I got the audition. So it was this really strange sort of confluence, and they really were looking for an actress who had that physique, because for it to be in the future, to make it believable that she'd be a Marine. And so they were thinking, actually Cameron was thinking that he was going to do what he did with Schwarzenegger. He was going to find a bodybuilder, and he had one in mind, and she was a Latina, and he was going to teach her how to act, and that was his idea. And for whatever reason, it wasn't working out so great, and then he ran into me, and then was like, what? Yeah. It was kind of weird, because they said, do you know any other actresses who were bodybuilders? I was like, I don't even know there are many women who would. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, exactly.
2 more questions. I know we could ask all night, but let's go right there. Yeah.
Ms. Goldstein, hi. My name's Art.
Art.
Silly question.
Oh.
I know your last name was Vasquez and the first initial was Jaye. What was your first name?
Well,
Jeannette, yeah.
that's what they just put it on the screen, and so we were like, so I was just I had given myself, that I was Juanita, but on the toy it says Jeannette Vasquez. You have it, all right, yeah. So I have this is my, the moment is making a toy out of myself. Isn't that the coolest thing? It really is cool.
That is so cool. Immortalized. Okay, final question. Let's go up front here. Then afterwards, are you going to be outside talking to folks? Or?
Yeah, of course.
So, before you all go to the stage, let her go outside, set her up, and just so.
Okay.
Yeah, don't overwhelm.
Okay.
Let's make it happen. Okay.
Okay, with this.
Young person right here.
Oh, hi.
Well, first of all, it's a blessing.
And he's wearing a red bandana, by the way. A couple of you are actually.
I just wanted to know, did James Cameron make you audition again for Terminator 2 and Titanic, or did he just call you up and offer you?
Oh, that's a good question. You know what? For Terminator 2, he called me up because, it was funny because I moved back to Los Angeles, and he would say, hey, what are you auditioning for? What's going on? And I said, oh, this and that. And I said, they're always seeing me for like huge Latinas, and I walk in and they go, well, you're not. And I'm like, it's Hollywood, dude. What do you think? And so he's like, you're such a great mom, because I just had a kid by then. You should be playing moms and wives. And I was like, yeah, I should be. So then he called me and said, I've got a mom role for you. And a wife, and she kills people. But and then Titanic, I auditioned for it. He actually, when he said, look through what, and I was like, ooh, I want that role, the whole entire role stuff. And so I auditioned actually with my son, who is Pablo, so then he started crying during the audition, and they were like, oh, he's amazing. And then they realized he was really crying because he was terrible. So they were like, no. And then I had my other son, I was adopting a baby, and then my dates were moved off, and then I said, well, is it okay if she has another child, wrapped in and they're like, sure, that'll be great. But I left him home. I didn't take him, so he's not in Titanic.
Final question.
Okay.
You have a business.
My
Talk about your business, please.
I forgot about business. Burbank. I've gone in Burbank, yep, and Pasadena, and East Hollywood, and in West LA, and in Atlanta, Georgia. It's a boutique. It's bra fitting for bra fitting and bathing suits. And it's like old school corseteria kind of, you get your fitter and it's really good quality and it's a lovely place. And what else? We do swimwear, sports bras, things like that.
It's called Jenette Bras.
It's called Jenette Bras. And the alphabet starts at D is our slogan. So because we specialize in the woman who's usually not served by the rest of...
Can I interject?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You shopped at my store.
A friend of mine, those of you know, Evan Kleinman, the host of Good Food on CRW, she actually took me to Jenette Bras about 10 years ago before we got married and got me fitted. I have a situation here, and actually it was one of the most amazing experiences. I'm actually wearing a bra from your store.
Women flash me all the time.
Anybody who wants a bra that or fitting, just something that is contoured to your chest, like this was an amazing.
It's definitely worth it, ladies, to spend the money on that.
Gift cards? Come on.
I'm sure.
I have cards to tell you where it is, and also it's in Atlanta too. And what else? I was gonna tell everyone I'm at a convention at the end of August called Days of the Dead in near the airport. And actually, all the aliens, tons of aliens. If you want to see, almost
Lots
like
of aliens.
yeah, all of us are going. All of us are going to be there.
Oh,
Michael
wow.
Biehn and Mark and a couple and Gorman, the guy who was, played Gorman. Oh, he's an amazing actor. He lives in England, and so he's flying over. So anyway, it's nice to see.
Wow.
Nice to see my friend. We're all friends. It's so funny.
That is so cool. Final words, honey.
Testament to the film. No, you do the final words. I'm just like so in awe of like being here right now. I can't even.
All of you are.
Like, just be here.
Jeannette.
There I am.
Yeah, there you are.
There I am. Oh my God.
Jeannette, thank you so much for coming down here. Round of applause. Thank you. Thank you all for coming for the first round of Goofy Fest. Please see you Wednesday for the apartment. Thank you again. Thank you.